Hello, and thank you for being here at my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges, advocate for OCD, in particular pure OCD, which just happens to be the name of my memoir. This talks about my experience with OCD all the way up until I got treatment for it. I'm also a certified peer support specialist, working with people all over the world who are working toward recovery, who are contemplating going into therapy, or just finding out that they have OCD, or even after therapy. Peer support can help in any stage of recovery. I can do referral consultations as well to help find therapists who can treat OCD all over the world. Thanks so much for being here today. I actually did a post on this particular topic on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm at pureochrissy. And I talked about the OCD Haze, and I got a lot of feedback from that post. A lot of people that didn't know that this was part of OCD, or that it was something that other people experienced, so I thought it would be worth doing a video on. Lastly, NoCD is an app. Inside the app, they have all kinds of resources. You can connect to other people that have OCD, and they also do telehealth in many, many places around the world. So if you are looking for that, go check them out at treatmyocd.com. Let's talk about the OCD Haze. So what do I mean when I say that? For me, and how I've heard it described by other people, it is that moment where I describe it as that gut bomb, that moment where everything freezes, that moment where you just, for me, it feels like tunnel vision. All of a sudden, something I've read, or something I've remembered, or something I've seen on TV, or something I've even thought, causes this reaction in me of, oh no, I have to figure this out, or what does this mean? And it feels like doom. It feels panicky. It feels helpless. I often describe it as, it feels as if the room and everything around me is frozen. Even though I can see the world going on, I don't feel like I'm connected to it. And what happens after that is then there's this feeling for me of needing to figure something out. I have to figure out what this means. And I always think to myself, if only I could go back 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, whenever, and rethink that choice, or not have that thought, or not remember this memory, or not watch that show, everything would be better. But as we know, OCD doesn't really work that way. We can get triggered by a lot of things, and the haze makes you feel like it is real, because you truly can feel disconnected from life, and you can stay in the haze for days or hours or days or weeks and months even. And the reason why I call it the haze is, for me, this is what it feels like. It feels like life is going on, but then there's this barrier in between myself and life. And it's almost like this blurry window with, maybe water or something coming down. And I can't really see life going on, but I know I'm still going through the motions and participating behind that glass window. It's a really scary place to be. And I want to talk a little bit about how I handle the haze, and also really what's going on kind of in the mechanism of your brain when this is happening. So a lot of times when you're experiencing this, you've had a pretty significant trigger. And this could be anything. This could be something that you were already worried about, and then maybe you Googled and saw an article and you were like, oh no. And I can give you an example of that. Last summer, if you're watching my videos last summer, you know that I had some baby raccoons in my house that I was trying to get to a rehabber, so I had them down in these cages. Well, for some reason, I decided to Google, like an idiot. I decided to Google, can your dogs get distemper even if they're vaccinated? I mean, why in the fuck would I do that? For some reason, I thought, what if the raccoons have distemper? Which they didn't have distemper, but what if they did, and then my dogs were exposed to that via the air? Because they never had contact with the raccoons, right? And of course, I found 5 articles that said if they're vaccinated, they're fine. But there was one article that said they can still get distemper. It was probably like a 0.00001%, and I freaked out. This is the last time I really remember the haze being so significant. It was this gut bomb. As soon as I read that, like I couldn't breathe. Like the air had been sucked out of me, and the room, it's like a curtain coming down, and the room is going dark. And I just think, oh my gosh, if only I could go back and not read that. Now everything is different. Now everything will never be the same. I am never going to get through this. I'm going to have to sit in this forever. Life is ruined. That big epitome of doom feeling hit. And I stayed in this feeling for 2 days. For me, it was weird because it didn't feel like OCD to me, because it felt like a real threat. I mean, if the dogs could get distemper, if it was airborne, which I don't know if it is. But anyway, and like I look back and it's so stupid now, but it was not stupid then. But you know, I stayed there in that state of panic, and trying to just go through the motions of life, just thinking I don't know how I'll ever get through this, and what if my dogs die, and then it's going to be my fault, and I'm irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. And there was 2 days later that finally, and I have a really, really good support system, and they kind of know, you know, when things are getting tough and what to say. I literally had just gotten to this point where I was sitting in between the 2 raccoon cages, and I just was like, I don't know what to do. I can't move. I was actually just about to take them to the rehabber, but I was sitting here like I've ruined my whole life. The dogs are going to die. It's going to be my fault. And one of my support system, you know, I was on the phone with her, and she was like, get up and get outside. And I knew that that's what I should do. But when I am in the haze, all I want to do is just be still. And I just want to stay in that. It's almost like, okay, I just need to solve this. Or I don't even think sometimes I'm trying to solve it. I just need to be in it because I'm scared to move. I'm scared to breathe. I'm scared to anything. And she was literally like, get up and get outside. And so I did, against all of what I wanted to do. I went and got my shoes on, and I got the dogs, and I put them in the car, and I went, and while I started walking, I started to feel the haze lift a little bit, and I was like, okay, you've got to make a plan. You've got to, and so I did. And then I started doing some exposure response prevention for it, and I slowly worked my way out of it in the next couple days. I wanted to share that with you because I wanted you to know what it was like for me, but also to know that it is okay to recognize it and be scared to do anything about it or not know what to do about it, but to take really small steps on how to get out of it. Talking to someone can help if they understand OCD, and they can help motivate you to do some of the things that help you re-engage in life. So this brings me to my next point. The haze is very much like dissociation. I mean, in fact, it probably is to a degree, but I don't know that, so don't quote me. But for me, that's what it feels like. I get severely triggered in something to the point where I need the answer, and I'm so terrified that it's almost like my brain comes in, and I feel like that's what the cloud is. That's the dark cloud that comes over. And it shuts down everything to protect me, because I am so severely impacted by this threat or non-threat that my brain needs to shut down to protect me. So dissociation is inevitable for me. What do I mean when I say that? Well, dissociation feels like you're not connected to yourself. A lot of times people describe it, and I feel like I'm above myself even, and I'm watching myself do all the motions, but I'm unable to feel. Now, this can be a very scary feeling, dissociation, because when you're not connected, you don't feel like you're connected to yourself or the ground, then that can venture into, what if I lose control? What if I lose all my faculties and snap and do something? And especially when it comes to harm or sexual intrusive thoughts. But just know that dissociation is a natural part of anxiety. It's a natural part of being triggered to the point where your brain comes in to protect you. It's not going to help in the moment to remember that, because it's still really scary and it still feels scary. But if you can somehow connect to understanding the mechanism of what's going on, it can take the edge off a little bit and help you to choose a plan. What do I do when I dissociate? Okay, well, you need to connect back to yourself. So grounding your senses. So you want to, sometimes I'll listen to music. That doesn't always help, but sometimes I will, I've said this in videos before, activate your sight. So look for 5 things that are red, activate your taste. So maybe I've got, always got lemons and stuff up there. So I may like slice a lemon and smell the lemon because that's a kind of a pungent smell, or just, you know, a lemon slice, just put it in my mouth just to get things going, or something hot or spicy. You know, touch, I always have like, I don't hurt myself or anything, but I may get something really sharp and you know, kind of prick the ends of my fingers or in between my fingers right here. I don't break the skin or anything, but just to kind of bring some feeling back to myself, right? And so, you know, doing things to really connect back to yourself. Now, you can fluctuate in and out of this. Dissociation can continue to happen. For me, the important thing is to stay calm. My brain is doing its job. My brain is trying to protect me, and I cannot speed up the brain when it is in that protective mode. So the next thing that I do is really practice some radical acceptance of what is going on. This can be really hard because this feels like you're relenting, and it feels like that you're in this space of, oh no, I don't know how long this is going to last, and I'm really scared. But I remind myself, when my brain is protecting me, I cannot speed things up. So what do I need to do to get as comfortable as I can in order to kind of normalize and become connected to myself again? I continue to practice these grounding techniques. I also continue to call on my support system. I tell them what I do need and what I do not need. Usually what I do not need is for people to be checking on me every hour. I can't stand that. All it does is remind me about that I'm in a bad space. So I may have someone text me every once, you know, maybe once or twice a day. Hey, have you gotten out to go for a hike with the dogs? Have you gotten out to run? Have you gone and lifted weights? Things that I know can help me kind of keep moving and push into life when I'm in the haze, pulls me back internal. And that's what it feels like. I internalize and I get stuck in this position. So those are some of the things I do. I will say I really let go of trying to control getting out of the haze. Now, this is a difficult one because the haze is so uncomfortable and we are so scared. Me fighting against that is going to prolong it because I am then just communicating to my brain, we are still in danger. So what I try to do is remember the brain is doing its job. I'm going to continue with life. So even though sometimes I want to just go get in the bed and cover up in the covers and not move, I have got to continue with life. So what do I have to do today? Let's make sure to do that. Let's make sure to show up. And every single hour sometimes is okay, look, I just accomplished something this hour. I loaded the dishwasher. I washed a load of clothes. I took the dogs out. I brushed my teeth. Anything that can seem like I am still doing life even though it is hard. And inevitably, if I can get as comfortable in the uncomfortableness of the haze, I can cycle out of it in a couple days as long as I'm not fighting it. So the point of this video is definitely, I just want you to know that the haze is absolutely a real thing that exists with OCD. It is, again, that kind of gut bomb that you get, the, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I remembered a memory, or I read something, or I saw something that triggered me, or I saw a show or heard a song, or I just thought a thought and oh no. The desperate need to solve it, but then you're also stuck in that panic fear. It's almost like this curtain comes down on you and you feel really separated from life, like you're on the other side of the window watching life. This is something that happens for so many of us with OCD. And it's really important to understand the brain is doing what it needs to do. There's a potential threat. It's typically not a real threat when it's OCD. But there's this threat and it feels like it needs to protect you. So what can you do to ground yourself? What can you do when when the haze happens to continue life? When you're not in the haze, and if you're watching this video, jot down something on a list of things that you can do that are grounding, or things that you can do that you can push into life. Jot that down on a list, because when you are triggered and you're really in the haze, you can't really think straight and you don't know what's going to help. Pull that list out. You know, for me, it would say, take the dogs for a walk. Go get a Dr. Pepper, or drive up and get a Dr. Pepper, because that, I don't know, there's something about Dr. Pepper that it makes me burp. I don't know how grounding that is, but anyway. And then, but every time I feel nauseous, I always drink a Dr. Pepper. It's very weird. Or go work out, go chop wood, go box, things that are going to pull me back in and do life. You can have that list handy, so when you are in that, it's just a reminder, first of all, you were not in the haze at some point when you wrote the list, and that you can get back to that. But it's also a guide when you are feeling really scared and uncomfortable, of how to just push back and remember to do life. The haze is not going to last forever, even though I know when you're in it, it's so terrifying. So I just wanted to share that with you today. I hope this is helpful. A lot of times, many people don't know that other people experience this, and they don't know what to do when this is happening. So I hope that those suggestions are helpful. Feel free to drop suggestions in the comment section too of things that help you. Anyway, I will talk to you next time. Again, if you are looking for peer support or referral consultations, head to chrissyhodges.com. If you're looking for no CD, go to treatmyocd.com. Okay, bye.